She left him and their 5 children behind. After many years, she returned and was amazed to discover what he had accomplished without her. Stay tuned. You won't believe what happens next. She discovered, and we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. You are observing from Darius Miller had. He always held a deep belief in the importance of family. Yet he found himself feeling disconnected. It was a perfect attempt, yet he persevered for years. Believed that was sufficient until as the morning light crept in, he stirred from his slumber, only to find that Alicia had vanished, without a hint or dispute the evening prior. Merely a creased sheet of paper resting on the kitchen counter adorned with 7 eerie. I am truly sorry, but I can't continue down this path any longer. She didn't merely walk away from him. She walked away from them all. 5 children, Micah, Jaden, Isla, and the others. The 2 little ones are still too small to grasp the meaning of the term abandoned. One was still in nappies, while the other had just began. My journey in kindergarten. The sound of the stillness within the home that day was the children bombarded with questions. He was unable to respond. Where's mommy? Did we? He was unsure of how to do something wrong. He responded with a falsehood, claiming she required moments, that she cherished them, that she would return. But days transformed into weeks. Weeks transformed into months, and Alicia never returned. What ensued was a whirlwind of chaos. Darius found himself at a crossroads, needing to let go of one of his 2 jobs. Since the expense of childcare is greater than his paycheck arrived, but sleep eluded him as he felt the weight of his worries. Dinners he overlooked, the permission slips, and yet somehow they endured. Each day commenced as the clock struck 5 a.m., while the rest of the world lay in slumber. It remained silent as he filled his cup. Alicia sipped from the same chipped mug of coffee. Once cherished, that mug turned into a symbol, not of her, but of the existence he turned away from. Let fall apart by 6:30. The kitchen had transformed into a scene of chaos, brimming with action, pancakes soaring through the air, children bickering over who gets to use the toilet first, weeping over a sock that was never his. The moment had come to savor the last sip of his coffee. Yet the sound, when their laughter finally arrived, it was all that unfolds at the construction site. Darius discovered an unusual tranquility. The rhythmic clatter of instruments and the thunderous sounds. The clamor of machines silenced the anxiety with. In him, his supervisor Harold frequently trembled. His head, 5 kids, and you're still. The man named Darius stood there, a smile playing on his lips, simply saying no. One was aware that he occasionally shed tears in his Micah's truck during lunch breaks. The eldest became his trusted companion, grown up way too quickly entering the role that Alicia had left behind was taken up by Micah, who stepped in to assist. With dinner gathered the younger siblings and never once voiced a complaint. Yet, Darius observed the weight of the silent gazes. The weary gaze of Darius lingered through the long nights. Believed he had reached his limit. He was uncertain about how he would manage to cover the expenses or how he would navigate yet another parent attending the teacher conference solo. Yet it feels like a recurring experience. Isla embraced him tightly and softly said, "I love you, Daddy." It grant him the courage to rise and face the challenges ahead. He battled fiercely, sacrificing moments like weddings along the way, celebrations, and special offers as others created. He crafted a home from the ground up. As his contemporaries ascended the rungs of success, he found himself intertwining fingers during school drop-offs and clearing away tears at night. And then a decade passes. Once Alicia vanished, everything changed. Once more it had changed. It was merely another. On Thursday, he arrived home and kicked off his. She slipped on her boots and began sifting through the familiar heap of letters, invoices, unwanted advertisements, and educational pamphlets. Then he beheld it, a letter with no return address. The address, yet the handwriting was. Alicia was unmistakable. His heart stopped. His breath hitched in his throat. A decade passing in an instant. 10 birthdays, 10 Christmases, 10 firsts. Days of school. All passed without her, and now, there she was, extending her hand, but he remained unresponsive. The letter, not yet he gazed at it as. The kitchen was alive with the presence of his children, bustling about behind him. He was laughing, yelling, and bickering over who secured the final piece of pizza. The journey he would have been constructed in her absence now seemed to crumble. The letter faced a formidable challenge. Remained locked away for days, Darius held on to it. The pocket of his jacket just within reach, yet distant enough to overlook. In his workplace, he sensed it weighed heavily on his chest with each passing moment. He lowered himself to grasp a beam or extend his hand for. He contemplated the idea of opening it, pondering the possibilities that lay within, cast aside the notion he wasn't prepared. Then arrived yet another unexpected twist late on Friday. In the afternoon, Harold summoned him into the. Darius closed the door to the office, his gaze steady. With a twinkle in my eye, I said, "Darius, I got some news for you." Entered, brushing away the dust from his. "We have observed your journey for quite some time." Once upon a time, Harold began his journey, marked by unwavering consistency. Steadfast and serene resilience we aim to provide. Darius, you are the one for the lead foreman position. Blinked, the promotion brought more money. Compensation that could ultimately elevate Micah. During college, I took care of the expenses for Jaden's braces. Perhaps even swap out their dilapidated van. It was the sort of proposal he had always envisioned. About those evenings when the electricity nearly. Harold had more to say, and he wasn't done yet. It will involve extended hours on certain Saturdays. Just a handful of nights, a few more gatherings, and additional discussions. Darius nodded slowly, acknowledging the weight of responsibility. Understood the implications. Reduced time spent at home. More missed dinners, more parent-teacher meetings. Micah feels increased pressure during conferences alone to fill the gaps he didn't provide, and that night, he took a seat and began to reflect. Seated opposite Micah at the kitchen table. The others had retired for the night, leaving Layla alone. The beloved stuffed bear rested in solitude. The couch sat still. The kitchen finally embraced a serene silence. Today, I receive an offer for a promotion. Darius observed the expression on Micah's face. Eyes widened. That's incredible, isn't it? It is, Darius replied. But it also signifies I won't be around as much. Micah took a moment. Then, she offered a small smile. We'll make it work, Dad. You always have, it was said, with unwavering assurance. Darius observed the significance of those words. Micah had been keeping this family united just as the night unfolded, he found himself alone in his room. Darius finally opened it started as a revelation. Alicia acknowledged her missteps and that she was feeling completely consumed by the moment. As I stepped outside, it unfolded unexpectedly, driven by a surge of urgency. She shared her thoughts on therapy and the role of faith in her journey, about reconstructing her existence, and then arrived. I truly wish to witness the children. I've transformed. I desire to join their journey. Lives anew. If you can find it in your heart to forgive me, I hold on to that hope. Darius fixed his gaze on the page, his fingers wrapped tightly around the edges, seeking pardon for the celebrations she overlooked, for the haunting nightmares that once plagued Isla, for the tears that Micah concealed from the world, for the burden Jaden bore when his classmates inquired about the absence of his mother. To school events, she desired a second opportunity, yet she had never inquired what. Her absence had taken a toll on them. Darius crumpled. The letter was placed gently on the table by him. He found himself at a crossroads, unable to make a choice. Not just yet. Children deserve to be informed, and even more than that they possess the freedom to make their own choices. Yet beneath the surface, deep within him, an instinct had already transformed, and this time he refused to allow. His judgment was clouded by emotion. Shielded them for 10 years, and he wasn't going to halt. The letter remained there, on the dining table, lingering for 2 days, untouched. Yet, it did not escape Micah's gaze. He observed it intently at all times. As they walked by, Jaden inquired if Darius's affirmation held significance, yet it wasn't the sole factor. Yet he required the perfect moment, not when. The dishwasher was out of order, not when Nia. He had the flu, but not when he was too exhausted to notice. Articulate your thoughts with clarity, especially as we approach Sunday evening. He picked up the phone. The dinner table was silent, with Layla sitting there. Jaden crafted whimsical shapes in her mashed potatoes, discussed a class project involving the two. The youngest chuckled at the sight of a toppled cup of juice. Darius remained quiet when, as the plates were cleared away, he remained in his seat, lost in thought. With a steady voice, he began to speak to the kids. I have a tale to share with you. Micah tensed immediately. He picked up the letter and raised it high. This arrived last week. A letter arrived in the mail. It's from your mother. Silence, not a whisper, not a flutter. She expresses a desire to see you, claiming she expressed her apologies, but he remained silent. He read the letter aloud, without holding back any details. His voice remained steady, yet his hands moved deftly. When he finished, he looked up. Micah's face had turned ashen. Their jaw, with a tight grip, they inquired, why now? Why not a decade ago, when we were in need? Her. Jaden gazed at the table, eyebrows raised. With a furrowed brow, is she truly returning? The two youngest remained silent. Isla nestled into her chair as if she were. Darius nodded slowly, contemplating the desire to fade away. She reached out, yet nothing has been settled. I wanted you to be the first to hear it, because this impacts everyone. We're not a lodging place. You can just check back in, Micah said. Each word cut through the silence, and fear held everyone in place. Later that night, Darius discovered Micah stood in the hallway, his gaze fixed on a photograph. Upon the wall hangs a photograph from 5 years past. All 6 of them donned their matching holiday attire. In her pajamas, she was absent, Micah remarked. Softly, I understand, Darius responded. I don't. I can no longer recall the sound of her voice. Darius found himself at a loss for words, so he remained by their side in quietude. The following. For a few days, everything seemed amiss, and Isla found herself in tears. At school, Jaden found himself at a loss for words, unable to articulate the reasons behind his feelings. Darius found himself in a whirlwind of inquiries he couldn't quite grasp. How to respond, even the two youngest, typically brimming with joy, were more subdued than usual. The weight of Alicia's letter had woven its way through the house like a storm cloud, quiet and heavy, looms ominously. Then as night fell, Darius gently tucked Isla into bed, ensuring she was snug and warm. Softly asked, Does Mommy still love us? His heart shattered. I believe she does, he said, responded, yet love alone may not suffice. Isla blinked up at him, her eyes wide with curiosity. Are you going to? Should we let her return? I'm not sure, he replied, but I assure you, I won't take any action without you. And he truly felt that way because, after a decade of nurturing this family, united, Darius was determined not to allow the past tore them apart. The house felt growing weight with every single day. Micah felt silence enveloped Jaden, a sense of unease stirring within him as he thought of Isla. After years of peaceful slumber, the shadows of nightmares have returned, creeping back into my dreams. Slipping into Darius's bed under the cover of night without whispering a word, even the space around them experienced a sense of doubt at the construction site. Darius struggled to maintain his concentration. Yet, misplaced tools, miscalculated measurements, and gazed for what felt like an eternity into the void. Harold, he inquired, Are you okay? Drawing Darius to the side after a moment of silence. Darius finally revealed it. Their mom. After a decade, she reached out and said. Harold raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the desire to return. For a decade, What is it that she desires? That's the question. I'm attempting to understand why Harold didn't. Just presented a subtle fragment of whatever path you choose. Safeguard your. On that tranquil night, Darius found himself seated in solitude at the kitchen table. I found myself gazing at Alicia's letter. Once more the words remained the same, but the sensation of being abandoned lingered. It had merely became more burdensome. He reached out to an attorney the following morning. After absorbing all that had been shared, Alicia's disappearance, the letter, the lawyer imparted a heavy emotional burden. You've held sole custody for a decade. She possesses no rights unless granted by a court. Returns them. However, if she insists, preparedness was essential. It all hinged on Darius. Needed to hear back home. Micah was already one step ahead. I discovered her. They spoke of gliding a phone over the. Darius leaned in. There she was. Alicia, beaming brightly in her social media post. Images alongside unfamiliar faces, yet her words narrated an alternate tale, monetary assistance, seeking opportunities for redemption. A GoFundMe. Link titled Beginning Anew After. Challenges arise. She won't return for us. Micah whispered, she's coming back. As she descends, Darius gazed at the screen, clenched tight. This wasn't about redemption. It was a tale of survival. The following day, he engaged the services of a private investigator. He demanded the truth, but the answer was a firm no. There are no gaps, only facts to consider. Detective, with a nod, I assured, you'll find it waiting for you at home, Jaden. That evening, she approached Dad if she wants to take us, but Darius said no. Without a moment's pause, but what if she makes an attempt? Darius lowered himself, gazing intently into his eyes. She departed, but I remained steadfast. I refused to let go. No one can reverse what we've created. He truly meant it. As the night unfolded, he found himself captivated by all five of. While they slumbered, Micah remained upright. With a textbook, Jaden found himself ensnared in the sheets. Isla held tightly onto her beloved stuffed bear, held this family united through everything, and now that Alicia desired. Once upon a time, he would go to great lengths to ensure they were safe. The call arrived on a Thursday. In the afternoon, Darius found himself unable to recognize the. He hesitated, but an inner voice urged him to pick up the call. As he grasped the sound of a voice he recognized, softly and with a hint of hesitation, he uttered, Doris, it's me. His hold on the phone grew firmer. Alicia. She wasted no time getting straight to the heart of the matter. I simply wish to catch a glimpse of them, that's all. Meeting, please. No apology was offered. This moment was filled with sheer desperation. Darius didn't. He allowed her words to linger in the air, waiting for a response. In the stillness, he broke the quiet. If they choose not to see you, and that's where it concludes. With no pressure and no surprises, she paused, contemplating her next move. All right, he chose the spot all on his own. A public park is a well-known and approachable location, with room to depart if it came to that. Micah kept his words few as he shared with them. With a tight jaw and a subtle nod, Jaden inquired about the question that lingered in the shadows, unspoken yet palpable. We have to go, Darius insisted. You don't understand. No, he replied firmly. No one is imposing anything, yet they all. Absolutely, it was essential for them to understand. On that particular day, the gathering mirrored the atmosphere of the skies. The skies above are a dull gray, holding back the rain, yet the chill in the air is unmistakable, enough to evoke discomfort. Darius, gathered by the tranquil duck pond, all five of us. Children gathered around him as Alicia finally. When she appeared, she resembled nothing like a woman who had stepped away a decade ago. Her hair was swept back, and her coat was snugly fitted. Slim for the climate, she appeared more mature, weary and drained. She moved forward with caution, gazing upon the children. My heart aches with longing for you. All, she said, her voice trembling. They moved, and Micah crossed their arms. Jaden's gaze fell to the earth as Isla held on tightly. Darius's hand was firmly concealed, only partially visible. Alicia continued to talk about something related to his leg, about the journey of being adrift and the quest for self-discovery, about the struggles she faced. Yet her words didn't settle, they ricocheted off the years of absence cascade like droplets from a rooftop. Then Micah stepped forward. What can you anticipate from us at this moment? They inquired about it. It wasn't aggressive, it was sincere. And Alicia, there was no response. The meeting was brief. It stretched on, devoid of embraces or sorrowful farewells. Only a profound stillness disturbed by the gentle quacking of ducks echoes across the pond as she turned to leave, Alicia whispered, I hope. Let me give it a shot, I pleaded, but silence hung in the air. Returning home, the journey was serene. The children, no one contested it. Music was left untouched. The quiet spoke volumes beyond what any words could convey. On that night, Darius found himself seated at the edge of his bed as Micah stood in the doorway. She didn't even inquire about how we've been, they said. Darius nodded. I'm proud of you, he replied. All of you. For whatever dreams Alicia held close. It was not like this. They were not the same. The children she had once cherished, and now, at this moment, they were not destined to be shattered. The stillness following the park visit lingered. During dinner, the topic of Alicia remained unspoken. Yet, the heaviness of that meeting hung in the air. Each moment of stillness between mouthfuls. Even Isla, typically a wellspring of inquiries. In hushed stillness, Micah navigated through the screen, his fingers gliding over the surface with a soft grace. As the others enjoyed their meal, she appeared as if she was yearning for something. They whispered, not as if they had arrived. Returning for love, Darius remained silent. For within him, a change had begun to stir. Trust in the same 3 days after the call originated from the private investigator Ive. He mentioned something you might find interesting. Take a seat. Darius prepared himself. As the man spoke with clarity, Alicia found herself in debt, overwhelmed by deep debt, with 2 credit cards maxed out. Legal actions in progress regarding an eviction notice. Submitted 6 weeks prior, she had been coming and going. Of positions, the majority enduring for a brief period. The year and the fundraising page that Micah created discovered it was genuine and struggling to hold on to her. Afloat, but that was just the beginning. She's spoke of you, the investigator, shared with friends in online forums. It's evident she believes in the importance of reconnecting with the children could resolve her issues. Darius reclined in his seat. The phone remained pressed to his ear. There was not a new opportunity for connection, a beacon of hope. The knot in his chest began to unravel into something clearer and more defined. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he gathered everyone for a family meeting. Children huddled together at the table. The atmosphere remained fragile as Darius settled down, presenting the report for their review. The reality for themselves, I wish for you to understand the true nature of the situation, he said. No secrets, no pretending, Micah read. With a quiet grace, Jaden turned the pages one by one, eyes widening with wonder. The younger ones leaned into Darius's side, whispering, she's in trouble, Micah said softly. Yes, Darius responded, however, not for the reasons she claimed, her voice soft as Isla looked up. So, she's not returning because she loves us, he said. No, sweetheart, Darius replied. With an arm wrapped around her, she returned. For she was in search of something. Yet we are not obligated to her in any way. A lengthy quiet enveloped the atmosphere within the home. After reading the report, it was still. The children refrained from asking further questions. The truth had arrived. Uninvited, yet undeniable. Alicia was yet to come back for reconciliation. She had come back for. Darius had resolved to take action and rescue. As the night deepened, once the others had. As the night deepened, he stepped into his room, gently pulled open the top drawer of his desk, and extracted a hefty envelope, one he had, kept sealed for almost 3 years within, were documents meticulously organized, softly crafted with meticulous care. The following evening, he brought the children together, the dining table once more, this time accompanied by something to reveal that I've been holding on to this until the moment is just right. He placed the envelope gently on the table. Micah raised an eyebrow as Jaden leaned in. Darius gently eased it open, taking his time, unveiling documents adorned with authoritative seals and signatures I've been collecting, strategizing investments tailored for each of you, merely for college, not solely for in times of crisis. Yet for safety, he took a moment to reflect, collaborated with a legal expert to ensure none of you could ever be lost. Micah's eyes narrowed in. What do you mean I legally? I am confused. Welcomed each of you into my heart, silenced Jaden. Isla blinked, her mouth falling open in surprise. Even the two youngest sat perfectly still, desired to establish it for good. With no gaps, no custody claims, no surprises. He gazed, gathered around the table. You belong to me by law. Heart by every standard that counts. Micah swallowed hard. You really did all that? Without revealing it, Darius wore a gentle smile. For love often whispers, even in silence. Operates subtly behind the scenes, crafting. Rest assured, your safety is assured even in moments of uncertainty. Did you hear that? Jaden's voice cracked. You didn't. Darius insisted that it was necessary, but you went ahead and did it anyway. Since you're my family, I'm not going to allow anyone to take that from me. Oh no, not again. Tears streamed down Isla's face now. Micah reached and climbed into his lap. She reached across the table and gently squeezed his hand. That moment required no music. It simply didn't. It called for celebration. It was all they possessed. It's been a decade, and certainty is nowhere to be found. The type that is articulated, the type that is validated. In the weeks that followed, peace finally emerged. Upon returning to the Miller home, Micah embarked on a tour. Jaden became a member of the football team at college. Isla returned to her dance class. The younger. The house once more echoed with joyous laughter. After a long stretch of time, they found themselves unrestrained in your aspirations, unburdened by the weight of judgment. On a particular evening, Darius unveiled the final piece of the legal puzzle he had, completed all protective measures for adoption, finances in order, future assured, guarded his vow to them had transformed. Then a letter arrived for Alicia. It was brief and filled with regret. She candidly confessed the truth that she returned not out of affection, but from a place of need. She expressed that she had gained clarity and that Darius chose not to reach out again. He later responded through a mutual friend, discovered she had moved and accepted a new position through a support program and was attempting to reconstruct her existence independently. It was the door she left ajar had softly, upon returning home, a sense of closure enveloped everything. Movie nights are back, bringing with them a wave of laughter and joy, resonated throughout each space, and as Micah found myself in the kitchen one night and spoke, "You saved us." Darius simply shook his head. "No," he said, "we saved each." And together, they continued their journey, moving ahead with resilience, insight, and unwavering strength. This wasn't the family Alicia had envisioned. Abandoned, this was the family of Darius. Darius didn't merely raise 5 kids. By himself, he laid down a groundwork that they could rely on, persevere through the trials of heartbreak. In moments of sacrifice, he demonstrated a quiet strength that spoke volumes. That love isn't quantified by extravagance, gestures yet by being present every single. That day, he sought not for recognition. What he truly needed was them entirely secure and unburdened. And ultimately, he bestowed upon his children something there mother never could find security without. Circumstances and affection boundless in the present. Allow me to pose a question. What actions would you take if a figure from your history has unexpectedly reappeared after years of quiet? Seeking A. Share your thoughts in the comments if you believe in second chances. This tale touched your heart and ignited your spirit, evoked the strength found within family bonds. Remember to give a thumbs up, share with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more remarkable tales just like. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, you in the upcoming tale.